channel. It's been a while since I made a video, but here I am. Today I'm going to be doing a watercolor scene, this one that you see behind me. And I'm excited about it because I just took a watercolor class. And while I have taken a watercolor class before in college, it was more for like portraiture and not really children's book illustration. And I've really struggled for a long time with feeling like I could complete a background completely in watercolor, especially ones where it was like dense vegetation. So I'm excited to show you how I did this one. I'm pretty happy with it. And this will be a print in my shop. So yeah, I'll go ahead and get to the painting. If you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe. You can also support my art over on Patreon and get a monthly print in the mail. Yes, I cut myself off there, but I thought I would share with you my sketching process, which I did digitally for this piece. My goal was to create an overall composition that had a lot of movement, make sure that each character was kind of like in a different pose and adding to the scene in a different way. So this is how I started off. So I decided to try to do some smaller thumbnails just to like get an overall picture in a faster way. And ultimately I still really liked my original design. So I went back in and I started kind of refining it. I added this little baby mouse, which just kind of adds to the story, I think. And yeah, so yeah, she's dropping some of her petals out of her little apron and the other one's picking it up, and they're all just kind of working together. So I was very inspired for this piece by Jill Barklum, who did Brambley Hedge, as well as, of course, like Beatrix Potter. I just decided to fully lean into that kind of classic children's book style that I really love. It's something that I have been told I need to modernize in the past. But recently I was encouraged by another illustrator to try to lean into it a little bit and just see how that goes for me. And so far, ever since I posted this finished piece on Instagram, I'm just shocked at what a great response and how many hundreds of followers I've gotten after posting it. It's quite interesting to me. So sometimes art directors don't have the same opinions as the general public, which is interesting because the general public are the ones who buy books. So anyway, I'm glad to have this to add to my portfolio, and it was quite challenging to me to work with all these different elements. You can see now that my illustration or my sketch is on watercolor paper, and I've kind of refined all of the individuals as much as possible. I don't usually show my process of doing like the post-digital sketch on paper, so I thought I would share that in this video, and I think I will just let you watch for a little bit as it is somewhat self-explanatory. Here, I really wanted my overall illustration to have like this bright light-filled green like edge of the forest leading into the meadow lighting. And so I did this wash over it, which does dry a lot lighter. Now, I do think I intended to like exclude the characters from this, but I forgot and I just painted right over them. So you'll see me kind of dabbing away, or you will see that I did dab away where they are. But actually, I think a little bit of that like greenish yellow showing through, I think it gives an interesting effect to the piece. You know, if you're in a forest, you might have some green reflecting on your face. It's a little different with fur, but I still think that it kind of helps to create the ambiance. For this artwork, I actually decided to do most of the line work in brown. So I have two pens that I'm using to do this. One is the Pigma Micron 01 size, and it's brown. It might be called sepia. And then the other one is a new one. The name is interesting, Zig Memory System, and I think the brand is Kuretake, and it has two ends. One is thick and one is more fine point. So I'm using those back and forth. Now, the second pen that I mentioned is not waterproof, so it's something that you really have to do after the fact. But I think that the brown gives kind of a softness to it, and it's something that Beatrix Potter actually, I think, mostly was using a brown ink, which doesn't come across initially, but it does add to like the naturey vibe. So I thought I would try it out today. took longer to get this video together than I thought I would, but the good news is that I'm actually able to include a little update on my seeds, which I really thought weren't gonna work out. You guys saw in the very beginning, I was very enthusiastically putting it all together, and then I learned that basically the soil I got was hydrophobic, so it wouldn't absorb water. It was just like sitting on top, and it wasn't absorbing it from the bottom because this is supposed to be like a tray of, you know, of water that they sit in. But I read online and it said that you could put a little bit of soap in the water and that it would break the water tension and help it to like absorb rather than just being in like this bubble. So I did do that. I also sprayed them with water like every day just to like get the top layer wet. And I don't know, a combination of those two things, eventually I did get some little sprouts, and now they are starting to take up water from underneath, so I will show you how they're doing. So here's the tray overall, and you can see that some of these are like half wet right now. So yesterday they were all wet from the top. I did just kind of like pour water in, and you can see that it ended up, let me find one. It ended up pushing some of the seedlings like to the edge. Here's an example of where it really like washed it over to the edge when I did that. So we'll see how those survive. But there are a few, I think I've counted like 14 so far maybe. Yeah, so it's exciting. We'll see how this works out, but they do seem to be happily growing now, which is very, very exciting. I will also show you, this is sedum. So when we got this last summer, it was like a big bush, and then it all died back, and I brought it inside, and I was just trimming back all the dead foliage like a month and a half ago, and I realized that there was this little mound at the bottom that looked like a succulent, and it has now grown into this, so it's growing back, which is really cool. It's getting very happy. This is the Russian sage, which I just brought in the other day, and I cut it back, hoping that maybe it will start to grow either more from down here or on the stem. We'll see. And then these are my geraniums, which pretty much died completely back in the winter. I didn't really do a good job of keeping them like super alive. So these stems were almost completely bare. And so like 2 months ago, I brought them over into this window, and they've really grown a lot. And you can see that the stem has a number of little leaves coming up on it. Same deal with this one, has a lot. So that is how my little garden is going. Oh, and the plumeria, which you will remember had a lot of flowers, is coming out of its dormancy. We noticed that the stems were like kind of shriveled, and so we started watering it again, and then all of a sudden these leaves came. I hope you enjoyed that little garden update. I will continue to show you guys if this is something that you enjoy, and I also hope that you enjoyed watching the painting process. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and you can also check out my Patreon. And as of now, when this video will be coming out, the mouse illustration that you saw me create here is available as a print in my shop. So I will leave that linked below so you can check that out. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.